Mara Rudolph. Whether you agree or not, you will sign this agreement, allowing me to have another woman in my life. In return, you will remain Luna. As usual, I will bring my true mate back to me again. We'll act like we married out of love, her husband Lucian Rudolph said coldly. Mara sat there, lifeless, as his words sank in. Each one stabbed straight through her chest. She never expected Camila to appear between her and Lucian again. His precious first love had left 3 years ago for her career. Yet the moment she returned, he ran to her desperately, even at the expense of Mara's dignity. Weren't they fine? Just a few minutes ago, didn't he promise the council to have children with her? Then, why bring another woman into their lives now? What did she do to deserve this? A few minutes earlier, thick silence blanketed the meeting room. The Pax Luna, Mara Rudolph, wife of Alpha Lucian, Rudolph sat opposite a dozen werewolf elders, waiting for the council's ultimatum. They had let her off in previous meetings. Not anymore. They were already dissatisfied. She was an Omega who couldn't match an Alpha's power, in their eyes. She wasn't suited to this position. Most of all, she had failed to produce an heir for the pack. Everything she had done for them. Dismissed because she hadn't borne a child, she looked at the council's severe faces. Anger simmered under her skin. But what could she do? Is this fair to us, Mara? A bunch of old fogies, like uncivilized fools, using fertility to deny the value of the Luna. Her wolf Zoya roared in her mind. She agreed with Zoya. But anger wouldn't help in the trial ahead. Still, she would defend herself. She couldn't bear to leave her husband, Alpha Lucian. Good morning, respected council members, Mara said, keeping her voice steady. We will see if it is a good morning or a bad one by the end of this meeting. An elder rumbled. I suggest we begin, rather than trade unnecessary comments, said Chief Inquisitor Edgar Lewis. I wish our mate was here for us. At least today, Zoya murmured. He's an alpha. He's busy. We can't demand his time all the time, Zoya, Mara answered, trying to convince Zoya. And herself. She refused to think Lucian had already given up on her, and on them. Oh, come on, Mara, what could be more important than this? Did you beg to be Luna? Did you seduce him for it? No, right? So why face this alone? He gets to sit like it doesn't matter when it does. Can't he spare a few hours for you? These old men aren't easy. Even your father-in-law, the previous alpha, and your husband, the current alpha, struggle with them. How will you handle what they couldn't? He never attended a single meeting before, and he isn't attending now. If so, he shouldn't have dragged you into this marriage. Zoya snapped. Mara felt the heat of Zoya's anger, and the truth beneath it. Yes, she had married Lucian to pay her mother's hospital bills. Back then, she had no money. She tried everything. Lucian had been her only way. Zoya, enough. Focus on the meeting, Mara whispered inside. Before Zoya could answer, Edgar's voice cracked like thunder. Mara, you will be deprived of the title of Luna, because you can't produce an heir for the pack. Today, the council will decide whether you will remain Luna or not. Mara shut Zoya out, forcing her breathing to steady. You're speaking with your wolf, Edgar said, eyes narrowing. Her gaze flicked up, surprised. Then she smoothed it away with a thin smile. When a host spoke with their wolf, their eyes tinted yellow, barely noticeable. Ordinary werewolves wouldn't catch it. But today, every detail would be used against her. Edgar lifted his voice. Gentlemen, the files before you contain the Luna's birth details and bloodline. She comes from an Omega line, and lacks the strength a Luna should possess, Walter continued. Also, Mrs. Mara Rudolph has failed to produce an offspring to continue the pack and the Alpha's bloodline. This now poses a threat to both the pack and the Alpha's lineage. At the mention of the pup Silas, Mara's eyes burned. He had been so small when he was killed in the rogue attack 2 years ago. The most obedient of the pups. Mara clenched her fists, fighting to keep her grief from breaking her open. Shame and fury stung her skin. They would twist anything she said. But she would not leave in silence. No one stood beside her, no one to comfort her. She could only rely on herself. I object. Have you all forgotten? It was I who secured the funds that let this pack grow and expand. It was I who made equal education possible for every member of the pack. It was I who ensured your pups could adapt to human society. I have always worked for the pack. And just because I didn't give birth to an heir, you would strip me of my position and honor as Luna. Her voice landed with a steady finality. Silence fell again. Whispers rippled around the table. They knew she spoke the truth. A senior elder's face twisted. But he pushed on, remembering why they had brought her here. Yes, we recognize your service as Luna, but for the most powerful pack, the lack of an heir is already causing unrest. Would you have our pack tear itself apart over the Alpha's position? Would you make the pack unsafe because of your selfishness? Of course. If you promise that within a year you will be pregnant with pups, then the council will leave you be. Mara tried to argue, but the words died. She would never have children, and an heir mattered to the pack's stability, to its future. Her shoulders sagged. She opened her mouth to accept. The doors burst open. Her husband, Lucian, the Alpha, strode in expression carved from stone. His gaze touched Mara's despair for a heartbeat, then swung to the elders, sharp and commanding. Alpha, you are. I object, Lucian said. I object to Mara Rudolph stepping down. She is a qualified Luna. Her kindness, her intelligence, her bravery, they are enough. Being born an Omega was not her choice. It is the moon goddess's will. As for pups, she has explained herself. Why do you question only her? Why not me? It is not solely her responsibility. I am the one who says the pack isn't stable enough. I will not see my pups suffer that tragedy again. Alpha. The pack cannot be without an heir, the elders snapped. That is why I'm here. The heir within a year, you will hear us announce the heir. Shock rippled through the room. How could he be so sure he would have pups? Mara stared at him, hope flickering back to life. Was he finally willing to give her a chance? To be pregnant again? Could their relationship heal? Could their marriage be repaired? Since the Alpha himself is promising, we will accept, Edgar said. The others nodded. An heir was all they wanted. Lucian led Mara out of the council hall. Her chest swelled, moved by his defense. She had been ready, resigned to surrender her title. But his support, it felt like hope. A small, bright smile touched her lips. She got into the car, ready to ask him carefully what he meant. A document slid into her hands. Sign this, Lucian said, voice flat, as he climbed in beside her. Mara unfolded the papers and read. Her eyes widened. It stated that she could enjoy the luxuries and benefits of a Luna, but must accept Camilla's existence. As Lucian's legitimate lover, she never expected this. The words cut deep. Her eyes stung, tears gathering. How could Lucian be so cruel to her? Mara finally understood why Lucian had stormed into the judgment hall. He hadn't come for her. He'd come for Camilla from the very beginning. What a fool she'd been. She trembled. When the elders threatened to strip her Luna rights, she'd felt sad, yes, but she believed she could endure it. Instead, it was Lucian's words that slid in like a blade and lodged deep. Air fled her chest. She couldn't catch a full breath. Why, Lucian? How can you be so cruel? As if I'm a stone. You really think your indifference won't kill me, don't you? Enough, Mara. Lucian's control shattered. Don't talk like you're a victim. You always knew why our marriage started. You needed money, and I needed a wife. That's the truth of our marriage, the fragile illusion she'd built over 5 years. Those careful, warm moments collapsed. Her lips trembled. No sound came out. She stared at the pieces of her heart scattered on the floor. She couldn't take another ounce of his indifference. Then, break our mark. She found her voice at last, pulling a breath into aching lungs. Even as an Omega, she wouldn't throw away her self-respect. She had a job. She could live alone. Mara, you don't have to be impulsive. Have you forgotten your mother is still in the hospital? Those bills are obscene. That's why I'm against you stepping down. If you remain Luna, your mother will keep her preferential treatment. She looked at the man in front of her, her husband, dressed in icy calm. He could speak of their marriage like a ledger, yet undressed. He had been all heat and hunger. How could he be both the stranger at her door and the man in her bed? He was not cruel. No, not exactly. He was dutiful. He didn't love her, but he did his part, making sure her mother was cared for. Kindness measured out, mercy, with terms and conditions. Her self-esteem turned to pennies when she pictured her mother in that hospital bed. Her father was an alpha, but the pack was struggling, drowning in debt and bad luck. They couldn't afford the care. That was why her father had agreed to the marriage. Their pack was weak. They needed Lucian's shelter, as if he sensed how powerless reality made her. Lucian dropped her at the Alpha house, then pressed his foot to the gas and vanished down the road. He was going to Camila. Of course he was. It was only after Camila returned that he'd become so relentless. A few days ago, Mara had heard the whispers Camila back from Paris, but she hadn't worried. Lucian had still come home on time every night. All of it had been an illusion. Her legs felt like lead. She stood there, unable to move. Her phone rang. It was Sophia. Mara, are you okay? I heard the council's planning to deprive you of Luna. Did they embarrass you? Lucian came in and stopped them. She gripped the phone tighter, tried to sound steady. Really? It looks like Lucian's really in love with you, Mara. I'm so happy for you. Sophia. Camila is back. The words scraped out of her, and her throat closed again. That witch. What's she doing back now? She abandoned Lucian 5 years ago, didn't she? You don't need to worry. Surely he won't accept her again. Didn't you say he even ran in to oppose the elders? Yeah, he'd stopped them. And turned her into a clown while he was at it. Yes, he did. But he had conditions. What? Conditions. He wants me to accept Camila as his lover. And to give him an heir. What? Bastard. Sophia's voice sharpened to a blade. She unleashed a string of curses that scorched the air. Where are you? Can I come get you? Mara walked into the bar with Sophia and went straight for drunk. Enough, Mara. He's not worth grieving over, Sophia said, watching her with worried eyes. I just want to drink today. Mara tipped the bottle, beer burning a path down her throat. She rarely drank. She always kept herself ready, dinner hot on the table, phone within reach, heart open, just in case Lucian called and she could catch even a sliver of his attention. Stop, Mara. That's your second bottle. You don't hold your liquor, Sophia said, reaching to take it from her. If you care about me, let me be unruly, just for today. Her voice came rough, heavy with pain she couldn't name. Her eyes were bloodshot, glossed with a sadness too big for words. Sophia hesitated, then let her hand fall away. After a beat, she tried, gentle. Maybe you could stay at my place tonight. The room tilted. But Mara's mind stayed sharp. If she ran to Sophia's house, her father would worry about the marriage. She couldn't add that weight to his shoulders. Don't worry about me. I'm still the Luna of the pack. Even if everything's changed, I still have to face it, don't I, Mara? Sophia pulled her into a hug, helpless and fierce. There was nothing she could fix, not tonight. Just take me home, Mara murmured. Tomorrow. I'll pretend none of this happened. It's my duty as an alpha's daughter. What's an unhappy marriage, really? At least I have you. Tears gathered in Sophia's eyes at Mara's brittle calm. Let's go home. Rest up tomorrow. Make their eyes sting with how bright you shine. Especially that bitch. Sophia swallowed her own despair. She needed to keep Mara safe. Don't love a man who doesn't love you, Sophia, Mara said, slurring the warning like a prayer. They climbed into the car and drove through the quiet streets. Mara leaned her forehead to the cool glass, watching light smear into streaks. Back home, she lay down on the bed, and then the memories rose 5 years ago. Bright, merciless, as clear as yesterday. Flashback, 5 years ago. The restaurant buzzed with clinking glasses and low laughter. Mara stood in her waiter's uniform at the edge of the room, poised and ready. A couple walked in and drew every eye. The woman moved with graceful ease, stunning in her beauty. The man was all clean lines and quiet elegance, every detail deliberate. From her station, Mara watched them settle into a warm rhythm, soft smiles, heads inclined close. The love in the man's eyes was so vivid, it felt like pink bubbles floated in the air. Then the woman spoke, and the man's face crumpled in confusion. Harmony soured to tension as the woman said she was leaving. She stood too fast, clipped a wine glass with her wrist, and it shattered on the floor. Mara headed over to clean before anyone got hurt, and caught their names, Lucian and Camila. "Why are you leaving, Camila?" Lucian asked, confusion thinning his voice as he reached to steady her. "I want to continue my studies in ballet." Lucian. "The marriage can't go on," Camila said calmly. Even Mara blinked at that. "Calling off a wedding for ballet, but you don't have to call off our wedding for your studies, Camila. We can work it out together. I won't stop you from studying or pursuing your career." "You know I support you," Lucian said, trying to follow her sudden turn. He searched her face. "Is it because of the crisis in our packs? I can handle that. I promise. We won't be affected by it." Camila's gaze slipped away. She offered no answer. Only silence. Then she left, without looking back. Lucian sank into his chair, heartbroken. A single tear slipped free. Camila was his mate. His wolf urged him to run after her, to bring her home. But he knew better, Aunt Camila decided. She would find a way. Even if he dragged her back today, she'd leave tomorrow, and with his pack on the brink, he couldn't act on impulse. How pathetic, Zoya murmured in the back of Mara's mind. "Indeed, he's pathetic," Mara breathed, agreeing with her wolf. After a few beats, she crouched at their table and gathered the glass, cheeks heating with second-hand embarrassment. Job first, feelings later. Sensing her, Lucian lifted his head. He studied her face. "Do you find me pathetic?" he asked quietly. Mara startled. She ducked her gaze and kept working, choosing silence. He drew a breath to speak. A man in his 40s, 50s, at most, stepped into the restaurant. Authority rolling off him like a cold front. Conversations dimmed as he strode straight to Lucian. "Lucian," he said, voice low and firm. "What is the meaning of this? Do you understand what you're doing?" That voice wasn't loud, but the threat beneath it was unmistakable. Mara's skin prickled. Lucian stared past him. "Unfocused, raw, incompetent coward," the man said. Each word clipped. "You're letting emotion rule you when you should be focused on our pack's challenges. Negative emotion weakens you. We can't afford weakness, especially now. Pull yourself together, you coward." Mara realized both men mattered to the pack leaders. Protectors. No wonder their auras felt different from everyone else's. The air grew tight. Lucian didn't move. The older man's temper snapped. He struck. The crack echoed. Lucian's head whipped aside. His body lurched toward the shards. Mara shoved him back on instinct and fell into the glass herself. Pain bit her palm as blood beaded along her skin. Lucian stared at her, shocked. Why would a stranger shield him like that? Even the older man hesitated, thrown, before he could speak. Lucian stepped forward. "She's the woman I'm going to marry," he said, steady now, eyes locked on Mara. There was anger in his gaze for the older man, and steel beneath it. The older man's brows pulled tight. "Marry her? What about Camila?" "She's your fated mate." Lucian's jaw set. He didn't look away from Mara. "Dad, I know that. I want to marry her." Mara went still. "Dad," that's when she realized who the man was. Frederick Rudolph, Lucian's father. Mara had been drowning in medical bills for her mother. She was the daughter of a pack alpha, but their pack was small, and she'd taken this job to ease her father's burden. When she told her parents what Lucian had said, her father refused outright. He believed she should marry her partner, not bind herself to a marriage of convenience. But the hospital bills didn't care about pride. In the end, they compromised. Mara married Lucian, who promised to help with the money and to protect their pack. Lucian's father didn't approve. Not at first. He only yielded when Lucian revealed the truth. That Mara's mother was the woman who had saved Frederick's life when he was a child. Flashback ends. The next day, Mara woke heavy. Last night rolled back in sharp flashes. Her husband's cruelty, the words, the ache. Her headache throbbed harder with the memory. She sat up with a sigh, drew her knees to her chest and hugged herself tight. After a few minutes, she stood, pushed through the pain, and went to the bathroom to freshen up for work. She wore a white shirt paired with a beige skirt and a beige scarf, tied her hair into a high bun, and kept her makeup minimal, just a swipe of cherry red on her lips. It matched the hotel's rules. Beautiful, pleasant staff drew in customers. That was the tactic. Still, the uniform suited her. Confident, professional, a go-getter, she walked to the dining hall and took her seat for breakfast. Lucian wasn't there. At this hour, he'd usually be reading the paper, coffee in hand, or already halfway through his meal. "Where is Lucian?" Mara asked the servant as the woman came to serve her. "Alpha has already left, Luna." "He didn't have breakfast either," the maid replied respectfully. "To the company?" Her voice held a quiet frown. "He never left this early. What pulled him out so fast? Alpha hasn't gone to the company. As for where he went, I have no knowledge of it. I get it. No need to watch me. Go do your work." She tried to shake it off, but the unease crawled under her skin. If not the company, then where? Her thoughts spiraled, worry threading through them. Did something happen in the pack? What if he went to his mistress? Zoya cut in sharp, hurting. The pain from last night still pulsed through her wolf. It felt like losing a piece of herself. Mara felt it too. If one was hurt, the other bled. "He won't." "I haven't agreed to the contract yet," Mara said, steady on the surface. But in the corner of her heart, fear. The food turned prickly in her throat, tasteless. She set her spoon down and stood. "If you say so," Zoya murmured. When Mara reached the hotel, the waitresses were chattering in hushed, excited voices. "Did you know the Alpha brought his fated mate?" one whispered, bursting with gossip. "Oh, finally he found his mate. The pack hasn't had a Luna for years. He's handled everything alone. With his mate, the pack will prosper," another chirped. "Yes. Maybe they'll even have an heir soon, I heard. She's beautiful." "Of course she's beautiful," the first agreed, as if it were law. A pinch of pain cut through Mara. If the waitresses knew, the whole pack would know in no time. Was Lucian in a hurry to announce his mate? Then what about her? They'd married for convenience. Yes, but hearing it like this, God, it hurt. She didn't know what to do with the ache. She pressed the feeling down, lifted her chin, and went to work. Her schedule showed room service 5 rooms to clean and tend. Mara, the head of housekeeping, called. Miss Chaparral, mid-40s, wore a perfectly pressed uniform and a composed smile. Even in her 40s, she was still striking, refined, poised. Every movement neat. She always carried herself like an etiquette teacher. Mara respected her, looked up to her. Even Miss Chaparral knew Mara was attached to management, assumed she was a shareholder's daughter training at the hotel. She treated her fairly, guided her when needed. No bias. She didn't know Mara was Luna, and Mara had never corrected her. "Yes, Miss Chaparral," Mara answered. "What are you doing now?" "I just finished cleaning. 4 rooms on the 2nd floor. I collected laundry for washing. I was headed to the laundry room," she said. Hands steady on the cleaning cart. "Keep that aside. Go to VIP room number 2. Send the wine and food fast. No mistakes." "I will," Mara nodded. VIP rooms were never taken lightly. Guests with wealth or power brought impossible standards. Precision mattered. A single slip cost reputation and value. Mara went to the kitchen and gave the order to the chef and staff. As the trays were arranged, she frowned, trying to recall. No one had checked into the VIP room yesterday. They must have come late last night, or this morning. She pushed the thought aside and headed for the VIP floor. Her heart started pounding as she neared the door, unease crawling up her spine. Overwork, lack of sleep, no breakfast. That had to be it. She shook her head, steadied her hands, and knocked gently. May Mira. Zoya's voice fractured, a raw howl rising inside her. Zoya, what's wrong? Mira's stomach dropped. My heart aches. Mira, don't go over. Zoya broke into sobs. Zoya, we'll talk later. We need to serve the customer, Mira said, voice firm as she reached for the cart. But sadness pooled in her chest, heavy and strange. Her left eye twitched badly. Something bad was coming. She felt it. What is it? That hurts my heart. She swallowed the lump in her throat and knocked again. Who is it? A male voice, familiar, filtered through the door. Room service, she said, pushing the cart forward as the lock clicked. The door opened. Lucian stood there, wearing only a bathrobe. Pain speared through her chest. Zoya shattered. Crying harder, Mira held herself rigid, fighting the sting in her eyes. Lucian? The name scraped out of her. You didn't go to the company to be here. Why are you here? Shock colored every word. He looked at her with a lazy, flat expression, as if he hadn't heard her at all. Lucian? A woman's voice called from inside. Mira turned. Camilla Stone walked out. Tall and elegant, a towel wrapped around her, hair still wet from the shower. A mark on her neck. His mark glared at Mira like fire. Hickeys dotted his collarbones where the robe fell open. Her heart hammered. The truth slammed into her. Betrayal sharp and deep hollowed her out. No wonder Zoya had been keening. Her wolf had felt their presence. Together, Zoya's grief burned into anger. She reached out through the mind link, voice shaking as she called to his wolf. Emerald. How could you let another wolf near you? I am your wolf, a wolf who is weak, and can't even protect our pup, right? Emerald sneered. Emerald, what are you saying? Zoya whispered, wide-eyed. He had never spoken to her like this. Not once. The truth. You and Omega. We're too weak to protect our child, and we lost him. I need someone stronger. That doesn't give you the right to betray me with her, she said, steady but breaking. Silence. Emerald shut her out. Lucian didn't so much as flinch at Mira's presence. Leave the food, he said coldly, and closed the door. Mira staggered around the corner, one hand gripping her chest. She forced the tears back, but her body trembled uncontrollably. The house manager's call snapped her upright. She couldn't let anyone see her like this. She pulled out her compact, breathed once, twice, and restored her makeup to flawless perfection. Mira left the cart where it was and walked out without a word. Lucian watched her go, his expression tight, complicated. He saw the disappointment on her face and felt a flicker of guilt. Then let it die. He told himself there was no need to explain anything. She was being emotional. He calmed, let the cold settle back over him. Good. Let her see reality sooner rather than later. Camila caught the dejection on Mira's face, and when Lucian wasn't looking, let a sneer curl her lips. He'll be mine soon, she thought. Yes. He shall belong to us. Maya, her wolf, purred back. They both smirked at Mira before Lucian shut the door and turned back to Camila. Only then did she smooth her features into something soft and sweet. They hadn't actually done anything. Camila had accidentally poured coffee on Lucian's shirt to give Mira the wrong idea. The day dragged heavy and raw for Mira. After what she'd witnessed in the hotel room, the hurt would not shake loose. Her mind replayed their words over and over, each one digging deeper. She felt like an outsider in her own life. A spectator to a love she once thought was hers. Seeing them there, almost naked, had hollowed her out. She hadn't dared to move. She stood frozen, silent, as if turned to stone. Something cracked inside her. She knew what it was, her heart. In the end, hearts are fickle. They give in until the last thread snaps. Her weary footsteps echoed down the narrow corridor as she returned to the staff lounge. She threw herself back into her tasks, grasping for distraction, and failing, the weight of everything pressed down. Each step felt like a burden she could barely carry. Her eyes, once bright, were clouded with sadness and frustration. She'd been off all day, unfocused, making mistake after mistake. The head of housekeeping's voice rang in her skull like a bell. You can't unhear. Mara, can't you do anything right? You're causing trouble for everyone. The words pierced her. She knew she'd let people down, herself most of all. The disappointment in her own abilities crushed her. I'll fix it right away, she said. She'd been distracted when pouring coffee and spilled it across the table. She wiped it up, heat burning in her cheeks, and returned to the guest, almost bungled the next step, then caught herself just in time. She took pride in her work. She always had. Today felt like a cruel test of her resolve. A long, heavy sigh left her. She slipped back into the lounge for a moment to steady herself. No more mistakes, Mara. She warned herself, and went back out. By evening, she'd been assigned to the hotel restaurant. As she approached the dining room, her heart skipped. Lucian, her husband, sat with Camila, his fated mate. Her stomach nodded. Hey, Mara, Zoya whispered in her mind. Looks like you've got some bitches to deal with. Her wolf added, a snarl in her voice. Mara kept her face still. She could feel Zoya bristling, angry, ready to pounce. The pressure of her wolf rose inside her, strong, harder to hold back than before. Not now. If she let Zoya take control, there'd be trouble. And Zoya loved trouble. She worked her section, hands steadying as she moved from table to table. Still, her gaze kept slipping back. The connection between Lucian and Camila looked effortless. They fit together like a picture-frame couple. Even the waitresses whispered compliments from afar. Zoya's mutter cut through the clatter of cutlery. Look at them, acting all lovey-dovey in front of everyone. It's sickening. I want to tear them apart. Mara's fists tightened at her sides, her jaw locked. She wanted to defend herself, defend what she felt for Lucian, but that would only make it worse. She focused on the work. Breathe. Just work, Mara. You have to serve them now, and do not make mistakes, Miss Chaparral said, clipped and firm. Yes, Miss Chaparral, Mara answered. She carried the tray to their table and began to serve, careful with each dish. When she reached the cream soup, her pulse picked up. Don't mess this up. Not now. Just then. Camila stood time to the second. The shift threw Mara off balance. The tray tipped, hot soup sloshed over Camila's dress and across Mara's hand. Heat seared her skin. Oh no. I'm so sorry, Mara gasped. Her face went pale as the stain spread over Camila's fabric. Camila's eyes gleamed, a thin blade of satisfaction flashing before she hit it. She offered a cool smile. You really should be more careful, especially when serving guests, she said. Soft and sweet to the room, sharp as a knife to Mara, to Lucian. It sounded gentle, not mocking. Camila knew how to play him. The burn on Mara's arm flared red and angry. Her eyes stung, but she bit her lip, refusing to cry. Lucian didn't look at her arm. His gaze was on Camila. How could you do this? You're so careless. Apologize to her now. The words hit harder than the heat. Her hand throbbed. Her fingers trembled. She could barely move them. Camila wasn't hurt, only her dress stained, and people were already fussing over her. 5 years of marriage suddenly felt like nothing. Come on. Apologize. Lucian's voice cut again. Mara nodded, swallowing hard. I apologize. I didn't mean to. Her words faltered under Camila's mocking gaze. She looked at her husband, standing with another woman. Eyes only for Camila. He didn't see her. Not the pain. Not the burn. She forced herself to smile. Swallowed the rest. I'll get you a replacement right away, she said, voice even. No need. We'll leave. We'll have our meal in our room, Lucian said, his arm wrapped around Camila, drawing her close. The movement twisted a blade in Mara's chest. She stepped aside and nodded, giving them room to pass. Then she hurried back to the staff lounge, cradling her arm. The physical sting was nothing compared to the old wound. The scene had ripped open, alone. She finally let herself break. Tears slid hot and steady. It felt like the whole world pressed down on her, and she couldn't hold it anymore. She'd believed she could mend things with Lucian someday. Tonight, that hope felt very far away. Later, at home, she lay in bed, then couldn't stay still. She got up and paced the living room, arms folded tight, mind trapped in looping images of Lucian and Camila. Were they together right now? In bed? The thought tore her open. Her phone rang, sharp in the quiet. She flinched. For a second, she thought it might be Lucian. It was Sophia. Hey, Mara. Are you free? How about we check out that new bar that just opened? Sophia chirped. Normally, she would have declined. Lucian didn't like her going to places like that, and she'd followed his rules to the letter. But tonight, anger and something welder rose up. You know what? Why not? She said, surprising herself. I could use a distraction tonight, after Sophia's call. Mara took a quick shower and pulled on something simple, a soft top and jeans. She'd never set foot in a pub, never dressed the way people did for one. She'd never dared to wear anything revealing. Then or now, because of Lucian and her role as Luna. But tonight, she wanted to push back, against Lucian, against her title, against all the rules wrapped around her. She stepped out looking fresh and stunning, even if a bit out of place. Her face, soft cheeks, gentle eyes drew glances anyway. Men paused as they passed, staring for a few seconds, as if she were something delicate they wanted to protect. At the entrance of the bustling bar, her heart fluttered with trepidation. She'd agreed to come, yet now her feet wouldn't move. Women glided past in skimpy outfits. Men pressed close, grinding to the beat. She hadn't even walked in, and already the scene made her stomach knot. Her phone buzzed. Mara, where are you? Come in. I'm near the counter, Sophia called, her voice bright over the noise. Okay, Mara said, barely above a whisper. God, to hell with the fear. She wanted to do one thing, just one for herself, outside Lucian, Rudolph, and the pack Luna. She drew a breath and pushed through the doors, threading into the crowd. After a minute of blinking at the lights, she spotted her best friend. Sophia shimmered in a Barbie pink skirt that glowed under the club lights. Pink lips, a generous curve at the bust. A narrow waist men practically gulped when she tilted her chin and flipped her black hair back. For a heartbeat, they drooled over nothing more than that simple motion. Sophia didn't notice, or didn't care. Wow, Sophia, you look amazing, Mara said. Admiration there with a flicker of self-conscious heat. Sophia grinned. Thanks. But you should have gone bolder, babe. You look a little too nerd for this scene. Mara flushed, then laughed it off. Yeah, I'm awful at dressing up. Maybe I should have asked for your help. Sophia's eyes sparked. She fished a small package from her purse. Already on it. I had a feeling you'd feel out of place, so I came prepared. What did you do? Mara's eyes narrowed. Guarded, but curious. What? Why that face? Sophia put a hand to her chest, mock offended. When you say you made arrangements, it usually means trouble, Mara said, shrugging like it was someone else's problem. Ouch. Wounded. My heart, oh the drama. Sophia groaned, milking it for all it was worth. Enough. Mara laughed. I'm fine. I'm adjusting. What did you bring? The noise swelled around them. Light flares. Bodies brushing. Bass thudding through the floor. This was Mara's first time in a place like this, and it felt like too much, too bright, too loud, too close. Goosebumps rose over her arms. She knew Sophia was playing it up to make her comfortable. She was grateful for it. I knew you'd dress like someone's sweet grandma, Sophia announced, revealing a silver sequin skirt that caught the light like water. So, this is for you. Mara's eyes widened. Oh, I couldn't possibly wear that. Nonsense. Sophia held the skirt against her. Trust me. It'll be perfect. Just try it. They ducked into the restroom, Mara slipped into the shimmering skirt, heart hammering as it hugged her in all the right places. She spun once, then again. Confidence stirred in her chest, unfamiliar and warm. Oh, Mara, stunning. Sophia clapped, delighted. Mara's smile softened. I never thought I could pull this off. You really are something. Making me do all the sinful things. I'll take that as a compliment, Sophia said. Proud. Mara shook her head, speechless but smiling. Sophia tugged her toward the dance floor. The music was loud, the lights a whirl of color. Mara hesitated, then let herself sway. One step, then another, finding the beat. As she threaded through the crowd, her heel landed on someone's foot. Oh, I'm so sorry. She looked up into a very handsome face. The man's frown softened at her panic. It's all right, no harm done, he said in a smooth, soothing voice. I really should be more careful. She mumbled, flustered. It happens to the best of us, he said with a friendly smile. I'm Owen, by the way. I'm Mara. Nice to meet you, Owen. They slipped into easy small talk. Something about his face tugged at her memory, but she couldn't place it. Sophia drifted to Mara's side, introduced herself, and the three of them fell into an easy banter. Like old friends stumbling into each other after years apart, a woman appeared at Owen's elbow, graceful and impossible to miss. Owen, there you are. I've been looking for you, she purred. Camilla. Mara's breath hitched. Lucian wouldn't let her step into places like this. Yet Camilla was here. Hurt pressed into Mara's ribs. He didn't trust her. Maybe he was afraid she'd slip, that she'd blurt out she was Luna. Camilla glanced at Mara. Surprise flashing. Then she smoothed it away, pretending not to know her. Owen, why don't you dance with me? Camilla asked, taking his hand and sliding closer. Her chest brushed his arm. He pulled back, at once polite but firm. Mara, would you do me the honor? Owen asked, offering his hand like a gentleman. Mara hesitated, flicking her gaze to Sophia. An encouraging nod. She breathed in and set her hand in Owen's. Something stirred low in her chest. Not romantic. Exactly. Something warm, familiar, family almost. Maybe she was overthinking. I'd love to, she said, smiling, as they stepped onto the floor. As they moved into the lights, Mara caught Camilla's expression. Twisted, ugly with irritation. Why was she chasing Owen? She'd gotten her fated mate Lucian, ruining her marriage to claim him. And here she was, reaching for another man. Mara's mind tangled with questions. Then she pushed them away. The music pulsed. Owen and Mara swayed in sync, the beat blurring at the edge of their laughter. They talked, shared small stories, learned each other's rhythms as if they'd known one another longer than a handful of minutes. Owen was charming, intelligent, genuine. His smile was so pure it made her think, ridiculously, that maybe he was the kindest soul in the room. Unbeknownst to Mara, Camilla watched from the bar, jealousy tightening her jaw. She couldn't understand why men were drawn to this useless Mara, who'd been too weak, too helpless to even protect her pup. First Lucian. Now Owen, her teeth clicked together as she stared. They were laughing, enjoying themselves. With every second, Camilla's envy rose. Then, an idea. Her lips curled, slow and wicked. She lifted her phone and snapped a photo of Mara and Owen, bodies turning to the music, faces lit by the lights. A soft pleased chuckle. Send. To Lucian. Mara never saw it. She was lost in the simple joy of moving and smiling without permission. Seeing Mara finally relax, Sophia let out a relieved sigh. Then she grinned, tossed back her hair, and went to have some fun of her own. Mara's heart raced as Lucian stood before her, his expression stern and disapproving. She hadn't expected to run into him here at the bar. The moment he appeared, the air tightened around her. She didn't know Camilla had sent him a photo. Her, with Owen. But she'd seen Camilla earlier, and when she put two and two together, it hit her. He and Camilla were together. The realization stung. She wished just once for a little affection from him. God, even a scrap. With a bitter smile, she smoothed her features into something blank. The freedom she'd been enjoying a minute ago felt snatched away by his presence, and frustration prickled along her skin. "How did you get here?" she asked, watching him step into the booth, a booth she suddenly disliked for reasons she couldn't name. "By car." "Then on foot," he replied, dry and sarcastic. She closed her eyes for a split second, reining in her temper. "I asked why you were here. I'm not in the mood for nonsense. I heard you're here with a man, so I came to check on you," Lucian said, voice flat. "Keep in mind, you're still my wife. This pack's Luna. Don't do anything to disgrace the pack." Mara could only think of Camila when he said it. Camila was the only one here who recognized her and knew about her and Lucian. As of now, Owen didn't know. "Is it Camila?" she asked, lips pressed into a pout. She didn't want him here, and Yon could see that. Lucian raised a brow, but said nothing. His silence confirmed it. He talked like she was cheating, when he was the one who'd shamelessly told her to cheat on him, legally, and he was already cheating on her. Double standards much. If she had the guts, she'd have said, "Damn you and your fated mate." But she couldn't. He was still the man she loved. She sighed inwardly and lifted her chin. "We're not divorced yet, but that doesn't mean you get to control every part of my life. If we're talking about vows, while I haven't signed the divorce and walked away, you've already been with another woman and marked her when you married me under the moon goddess's oath." Her voice stayed steady. Her eyes didn't. Before he could answer, she pushed on. "And by the way, I saw Camila earlier. You being here only means you two are together. So don't bother preaching to me about behaving properly." Lucian's eyes widened. "Camila, I just came." He looked flustered. "Actions speak louder than words." "And I trust actions." Lucian's jaw flexed. He grabbed the drink on the table and downed most of it in one go. "Lucian, that's my drink. My friend made it for me. Don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're alpha." He opened his mouth, but she was faster. Mara snatched the glass back and drank the last burning swallow. Just then, a familiar figure stepped into their booth with the bartender in tow. The same one who'd served them. Owen. He looked a touch anxious. He blinked at Lucian, and the tension in the air ratcheted up. "Lucian, what are you doing here?" Owen asked, trying to mask his surprise. Lucian's eyes narrowed. "I could ask you the same. Are you the man Mara is meeting tonight?" His voice turned slightly cold. Eyes shooting daggers across the table, Mara stared between them. They knew each other. People who knew Lucian weren't simple. Who exactly was Owen? Owen shook his head. I just met Mara by coincidence today," he said calmly. His gaze fell to the empty glass. Nerves flickered across his face. Who finished the wine?" He glanced between Mara and Lucian, taking in the oddity of it. An alpha here for an omega, both of them bristling. Lucian's expression darkened. "Both of us had some." Owen shifted, then gathered himself. "What is your relationship with each other? Why?" Mara shot back, face tightening. She didn't want to say it. She didn't want anyone to know. Not like this. "Just tell me truthfully," Owen said, before she could scramble for an answer. Lucian cut in. "We are husband and wife." Mara blinked. He'd done it because he didn't like her reluctance, because he wouldn't let her keep quiet in front of Owen. Owen visibly relaxed, a breath leaving him. "Oh, thank goodness." Relief then surprise. He hadn't expected an ordinary omega, her words, to be the alpha's wife. How had that even happened? "Why are you so relieved?" Mara asked, genuinely curious. He was acting. Owen offered a faint smile. "Oh, it's nothing. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't causing any trouble." "What? Why would you say that? You bought me a drink when we first met." "Yeah." "How was the drink?" Bitter." "My throat is burning." She screwed up her face. Owen chuckled softly. Across from her, Lucian watched, silent. He'd never seen her this at ease with anyone else. "Earlier you left when I was about to drink it," Mara said, brows furrowed. "Is something wrong?" Nothing wrong. I got a call, so I stepped out. The waiter came by to ask if we needed anything else. I said no, and he left." He spoke quickly, though his face stayed calm. She nodded. She chose to believe him. Lucian drew in a breath to say something. But Owen stepped over him. Actually, I just remembered I have something to attend to, Owen said, expression shifting. You two enjoy yourselves. I'll take my leave now. It was nice meeting you, Mara. If there's another time, I'd like to meet you. He dipped his head and slipped out of the booth, unknown to them. Once Owen stepped into the hallway, he pulled the door closed and told someone outside not to open it or disturb the people in this room until tomorrow. I hope you both have a blissful night, he said, and winked at Mara through the gap before the door shut. Mara blinked, confused. She watched him go and sighed. Something about him was off. His words, his expressions, strange. Maybe there was more to their meeting than he'd let on. He's acting weird. Right? Not long after, heat started blooming under her skin. Her pulse beat in her ears. She wanted to sink into cold water, peel these clothes off, cool down now. What's wrong with me? Was the AC not turned on? The room held the aftertaste of tension. Dark mahogany gleamed beneath soft light, ornate tapestries swallowing sound. Owen's private chamber money turned into quiet, polished luxury. The fire crackled, heat crawling across the skin. Crimson drapes framed a tall window, overlooking the night. After Owen slipped out, the silence thickened. Heat rose in both Lucian and Mara. Unfamiliar, urgent. Alone, truly alone. For the first time in what felt like years, beneath the quiet, attraction simmered. Their wolves paced the edges of control, rattling their cages. The air grew heavy, the pull between them undeniable. Lucian's gaze cut to the wineglasses on the table. The deep blue remnants glistened. Owen's probing question replayed in his head. Had he suspected something? Had someone tampered with the drink? That cunning fox. Lucian muttered, fist tightening. Owen must have sensed something. But who messed with the wine? Mara looked up, confusion creasing her brow. Lucian, what's wrong? Her voice trembled. He wouldn't, Owen wouldn't. He was here for the wine, and he even stopped me when I lifted the glass before he left. Lucian's jaw worked. Maybe someone who knows she's Luna did this, hoping to push her out. Mara's skin felt too warm. She fanned herself with one hand, trying to breathe. Lucian moved to her. Not with words, but with a kiss. Mara, he took another woman to his bed. This isn't him. It's the wolf, Zoya whispered inside her. Sharp as a reprimand, Mara's eyes lifted to Lucian's, the charged air wrapped around them. Shock softened, and then melted. Zoya screamed, pull away, but the ache of 3 empty years pressed in. 3 years without their union. 3 years of distance. If not now, would there ever be a future? Her fingers slid beneath his shirt. She gave in. Lucian felt her hesitate, then respond. Restraint frayed. His hand slipped beneath fabric, skimming her warm skin. The contact sent a shiver chasing down his spine. In one smooth motion, he drew her onto his lap. Bodies aligned. Breath mingled. Lust and control blurred. Soft sounds broke the silence, breaths hitching. A quiet moan, a whispered name. When Mara's fingers fumbled at Lucian's belt, both felt the danger of the edge they stood on, whether it was the wine or what they'd buried for years. Neither knew. The room became a battleground between temptation and restraint. Lucian's hand cupped her breast, weighing the soft warmth in his palm. The moment his skin met hers, Emerald rumbled with heat. Control snapped. Clothes were tugged and dragged away without care. Expensive fabric forgotten on the floor. Lucian eased her back onto the couch, her spine meeting the cushions. He hovered over her and stole her breath with another kiss, deep and consuming. She pushed lightly at his chest, and he let her have a breath, a few greedy, shaking breaths. His mouth drifted from the corner of her lips to her neck. He kissed, sucked, bit, kneaded the tender skin with his mouth until her pulse kicked beneath his tongue. His fangs slid free, an old instinct to remark flaring bright. He sank his teeth into the place he'd claimed in their earliest years. Zoya sparked in Mara's chest, desire flaring back to life, fierce and unashamed. He massaged her breasts, slow and thorough, until her body arched for him. Then his mouth closed over one taut peak. Agon. The sound slipped from her throat, helpless and raw. At the sound of her, he teased harder, teeth scraping just enough to make her gasp, back bowing. Lucian. Oh. Her voice trembled and broke. He toyed with her until her nipples flushed, sensitive and swollen under his mouth and hands. Then his kisses trailed downward, soft and rough by turns, tasting, nipping, savoring, inch by heated inch. He parted her thighs and breathed in. Her arousal struck him hard. His wolf snarled for more, a demand to take, to claim. He forced himself to slow. Just for a moment, cold air kissed her skin. Mara shivered. Every stroke, every graze of his fingers, sent her drifting, arching, falling back. Breath caught, breath released. His lips found the soft inside of her thigh. She moaned, the sound breathy. He bit lightly at that tender skin. She gasped, louder this time. He pressed kisses along the line of her thigh closer, closer until her body trembled with impatience. Lucian, she whimpered. He groaned against her, voice low and rough. Hot breath fanning the most sensitive place between her legs. A ripple of heat broke through her, sharp and startling. His eyes darkened, orange threaded with black hunger cutting sharp in the shadows. His fangs pricked her skin. A warning and a promise. She jolted beneath him. He kissed the peak of her desire, then pinched the swollen, sensitive nub between his fingers. Just enough to make her arch, opening for him without thought. When slick heat gathered, he slid his fingers into her, slowly drawing a gasp from her lips. Mara's mind went white, thoughts scattered. There was only the fullness of him inside her, the shock of it, the way her body tried to accommodate and cling. Her feet pressed into the cushions, her head tipped back into the pillow with a broken sound. Tight. So tight after years without him. Lucian stilled a moment, surprised and maddened by it. Emerald prowled, impatient. He worked his fingers in and out, steady, then quicker when she begged for more without words. When she adjusted to the size of him, he eased a second finger in, slow enough to let her breathe. When she took him easily, he curled his fingers inside her. Just so, and her breath fractured. Her inner muscles clenched, wave after wave building too fast to fight. She shattered on his hand. He pulled back and licked her from his fingers, savoring what he could, the rest slick against his lips and chin. Her taste lingered in his mouth. Mara panted, gaze unfocused, mind hazy with release. He watched her, ruined and beautiful pride, flickering inside him, at the sight of what he'd done to her, bending close. He cupped her face and kissed her, letting her taste herself on his tongue. As he stole her breath again, he shifted, lining himself at her entrance. Instinct roared, take her hard. He flipped her, weight braced over her, control hanging by a thread. Before he entered, she dragged his mouth back to hers. Their kiss turned rough teeth, breath, the clash of want and dominance. In the middle of that kiss, he pressed into her, slow, careful, stealing a surprised gasp. He tried to move, but she was so tight he had to take it inch by inch. He edged deeper, letting her body make room for his length. Then, with one controlled thrust, he seated himself fully. Ah ha! Her cry tore free as her nails raked his back. He moved gentle at first, then deeper, finding a rhythm that made her tremble in his arms like a leaf in a hard rain. Each stroke sent another ripple through her, another helpless dip into the pool of pleasure he'd opened. When the tension finally burst, she went limp beneath him, chest heaving, eyes glassy with exhaustion and want. Faster, she begged. Voice rough. Please, faster. He gave her what she asked for, and in a breath, they unraveled together. His hot release spilled deep inside her while her own release slicked his skin. She was still dazed when he turned her onto her stomach and took her from behind. His thrusts came faster, harder, pulling helpless sounds from her throat. If the room hadn't been soundproof, the whole bar would have heard her scream his name. They came again. Hard, and Lucian didn't stop. He drew her up onto all fours and drove into her, one hand kneading her breast until she cried out even louder. The drug, whatever it was, burned hot in their blood. They climbed and climbed, with no fear of the fall. The couch grew awkward beneath them. He lifted her, carried her down to the carpet, and slid back into her with a sound that was half growl, half prayer. He moved. Deep. Relentless until she seized around him in another fierce release. This one hit harder, lasted longer, left her shaking, bodies pressed tight. The line between reason and passion, thin to nothing. The room, grand and merciless, bore witness as they gave in, utterly to what had always burned between them. At 7 a.m, the first rays of dawn streamed into the opulent private room, washing over Mara as she stirred. A dull throb pulsed at her temples. The cold emptiness of the hotel room sent a shiver down her spine, a sharp reminder of her isolation. Her memories of the previous night were clear. Too clear. Every detail etched into her mind. As she sat up, dread rolled through her, heavy and cold. They'd been drugged, she and Lucian, and then they'd crossed a line. A guilt-ridden pit formed in her stomach. She stared at the low table. An empty glass from last night sat there, gleaming in the pale light. Just looking at it made the memories surge back. She hadn't expected any of this. Sleeping with Lucian. What had she been thinking? Their relationship was already unstable. She didn't even know whether to stay or walk away, and yet, in that haze, they'd become one. A sting of shame pricked her chest. This shouldn't have happened, she whispered. She closed her eyes. Her wolf, Zoya, stirred warm, present. Don't dwell on it, Zoya murmured through their mind link, amusement threading her voice. I know, dear, Zoya added, a teasing lilt undercut by concern. You had quite the night, didn't you? Mara winced. It's not a joke, Zoya. We did something terribly wrong. Zoya, what have I done? She whispered, the words trembling on her lips. It had been her first time stepping into a bar just to have fun. Sophia had dressed her in something bold, something she'd never worn before. She hadn't felt uncomfortable. She'd felt confident. Then she'd met a kindred spirit, Elliot, and the mistress of her marriage, Camilla. And in the end, her husband, Lucian. So much had happened. Too fast. She couldn't even wrap her head around all of it. If only it had happened when they were in their right minds. If there were no Camilla. But they'd been drugged. And neither of them had wanted this. You've done nothing wrong, Mara, Zoya soothed. A soft balm in her mind. It was the situation. You couldn't have controlled it. I should have known better, Mara said hoarsely. I should have been more careful. Zoya's tone shifted, mischief creeping back. Oh, come on. You're making too big a deal out of this. You don't know how many times Lucian and Camilla have done this without you knowing. Treat it like pent-up need. You haven't had sex in nearly 3 years. Just enjoy it. The words struck like a slap. Mara's throat tightened. How can you say that? She whispered as tears pricked her eyes. Lucian was the man she loved, God. Despite everything. She wanted their first time to be pure. Born from love, not chemicals in their veins. The thought tore at her. Every second, last night flickered behind her eyes, leaving her trembling. You don't understand, Zoya. Lucian asked me for a threesome, and I was going to refuse. And still, I slept with him. It's wrong. Silence filled her mind. Then Zoya's voice returned, small, remorseful. I'm sorry, Mara. I didn't mean to hurt you. Mara swallowed. Even Zoya felt it, her pain bleeding through the link. The room fell quiet again. Heavy as fog, Lucian wanted a bigamous arrangement. Her and Camilla. He wanted her because he wanted the bond. Having a fated mate would make his wolf stronger. And him with it, like locking 2 pieces into place. The thought of them together made her chest ache. She stepped into a cold shower, scrubbing away the ghost of last night, and headed to work with a heavy mind. Her coworkers noticed the dark half-moons beneath her eyes, the slow way she moved. Bad dream? One of them asked, concern softening his voice. Yeah, she said, forcing a smile. Didn't sleep well. Rest up. Don't neglect your health. I will. Well, what are my duties for the day? She asked. I haven't checked yet. Ask Miss Chaparral, the woman replied, then hurried off. Mara nodded and went to her tasks, hands moving on instinct while her mind drifted back to Lucian's proposal. A threesome. The thought turned her stomach. It felt like a betrayal of their vows, of any love she had left. And even though she'd meant to refuse, she'd still slept with him. She couldn't reconcile it with her principles. If he wanted her Camila, then he should have her. Mara didn't need to be here, caged like some useless Luna, an ornament in Lucian's house. She would leave. She would free him. The thought alone made her eyes burn. Mid-morning, her phone buzzed. Sophia. Mara set down her papers and answered. Hey Sophia, she said, trying for lightness. Mara. I tried reaching you all night. Why didn't you pick up? Worry-edged Sophia's voice. My phone died. Mara lied, her voice shaking. Sorry, I should have charged it. A beat. Are you okay? You sound off. I'm fine. I had some wine. My head's throbbing now, she sighed. She couldn't tell Sophia what had really happened. Not yet. Sophia would march straight into trouble for her. She hesitated. Sophia, are you still studying law? A pause surprise. Yes, I am. Why? I might need some legal advice. Sophia's breath caught. What happened? Can we meet tonight? Mara asked, the plea thin and desperate. They set a time that evening. She slid into a booth at a cozy restaurant, grateful for the dim lighting and quiet corners. Sophia arrived, sharp hazel eyes, raven black hair, poised like a blade, elegance wrapped around worry. Mara, what's going on? She asked gently. Mara drew in a breath and met her gaze. I'm getting a divorce. Sophia's eyes widened. Why? What happened? Mara faltered, her gaze darting to the shadows. Panic whispered. Memories of their first meeting at a pack event. Did Sophia know about her and Lucian? About her Omega Luna status? About the power games that defined her marriage? Mara? Sophia prompted softly. Talk to me. It's just... Mara swallowed. It's complicated. Things haven't been great, and last night was the final straw. Do you think she knows something she shouldn't? Zoya murmured in her head. I don't know, Mara answered. Watching Sophia crossed one leg over the other. Hands folded, gaze steady, too steady. She carried herself with quiet confidence. Smart, collected, not nearly as simple as she sometimes seemed. Mara couldn't tell if her instincts were right or just the loneliness talking. She'd been alone for so long. From the start, it was Mara who wanted the marriage to work. And even now, she was the one still trying. Lucian had never really tried. It was as if it wasn't his marriage at all. She had borne the council's insults. She had shouldered the weight of a third person in their bed alone. It was her. Only her. With every passing day, everyone around her tested her limits. She wanted to talk about it. She wanted to ask for help, but she couldn't. The ache rose hot and helpless. Silence settled between them. Like a thick blanket, Sophia reached across the table and covered Mara's hand with her own. The world of werewolves, with its rigid ranks and cruel customs, had dealt Mara a brutal hand. But here, under warm lights and the hush of clinking glasses, she found her spine. She was making a choice now. She was taking back her life, and her principles would hold. The truth hung heavy between Mara and Sophia as they sat at the restaurant table. The low murmur of voices and clink of cutlery, fading into a somber hush. Mara was tired of being alone in her own relationship. She couldn't lie. And the truth felt like a blade. So she had hidden, but looking at Sophia now, she knew it was time. It is not love anymore, Sophia. She whispered, tears glistening. My husband loves another woman. I'm trapped in something that isn't love, and I need to get out. It hurts to stay with him. My wolf is suffering too. I wish I hadn't married him. Sophia's eyes steady, warm, knowing met hers. They'd met by chance at a party, and Sophia had known instantly. Mara was different. Special, the kind of woman you chose for a friend and kept for life. Now, hearing this, seeing the pain behind her words, anger surged through Sophia like a live wire. Her best friend, suffering because of that bastard husband. Outrage licked at her throat. Sophia's wolf L surged forward, snarling. Sophia's eyes flashed pitch black as her wolf snapped. Mara felt the hit of that energy and flinched. Calm down. It's me who needs to be angry, not you, Mara muttered, trying to steady herself. He hurt you? And you're still talking like this? Sophia said, her voice sharp with disbelief. I want to respect the little bit of pride I have left. And the love we had at the start, Mara said with a sigh. Her eyes filled, and a single tear slipped free. I just want to part peacefully. Love, my foot. Just rip that bastard apart, Sophia snapped, fury burning bright. She's right. Just tear him apart. Zoya raged in Mara's head, her presence hot and fierce. Zoya finally felt seen. Samoni matched her energy. It made controlling her harder. Zoya was aggressive by nature, and today Sophia matched her beat for beat. Handling the two of them at once felt like trying to keep two furious teenagers from wrecking a room. Sophia, speak like a lady. Mara tried, soft but firm. Zoya. Calm down, she urged inwardly, and the wolf retreated with a grudging huff. Even if I were a man, plenty would still like me. Sophia quipped, a teasing spark in her eye. Anyway, do you want me to guide you and be your lawyer on this? I can talk to my senior and have them represent you. I'll help with the details. No need. I can handle it. I just need information on the legal sections, Mara said, grateful but resolute. Will you be all right? Sophia asked, concern threading through her voice. I will, and I shall. Mara said, determination steadying her tone. Sophia sighed and reached across the table, threading her fingers through Mara's. The touch was grounding. A promise. I understand, Mara, she said softly. The world of werewolves is complicated, but I'll stand by you no matter what it takes. We'll find a way. Just remember, I'm a call away. If you can't take it anymore, I will shelter you, regardless of where I am or what I'm doing. Time stretched, and for a while they sat in silence. Sophia stared past the window. Mind working. The pack dynamics, the laws, the sting of Lucian's betrayal, all of it tangled. If Mara wouldn't take full legal help, then Sophia would arm her with everything else. Mara, we'll need to tread carefully, she said at last. Divorce among werewolves is complex. We have mate bonds unlike humans. Severing them is hard. It can be fatal. When the bond snaps, our wolves can weaken. Some have died. If you really want a divorce, there are conditions we'll have to manage. She paused. Deliberate, alimony property division, pack rights, your standing. It won't be easy, but I'll guide you through every step. Mara sat still for a long moment, absorbing it. Then she lifted her head. Gratitude and fear swelled together in her chest. I don't know what I'd do without you, Sophia. Thank you, she whispered. Sophia's smile warmed her. But her eyes held a deeper truth. You might lose a lot, Mara. Are you prepared for that? She asked, clasping Mara's hands in both of hers. Concern etched across her face. The weight of that gaze struck like lightning. That, Mara faltered, searching for words. Was she ready? She didn't know. She knew she had to leave. But did she have the courage to go all the way? Given your husband's position, do you think it will be easy for you? Sophia pressed gently. Mara froze. She'd never told Sophia who her husband was, or his name. How did she know he was powerful? Did she know something she shouldn't? Her eyes widened. Do you know? She began, unable to finish. Sophia laughed, rich, warm, unbothered. Do I know what, Mara? That you're an Omega, or that you're the Luna of the Lethe pack? She tilted her head, a proud smirk curving her lips, a soft gasp left. Mara, surprise and guilt flooding her. How did you? Sophia reached up and brushed away the tears on Mara's cheeks. I've always known, my dear friend, but our friendship is bigger than secrets. I'm so sorry. I wasn't honest with you. I regret not telling you sooner, Mara said, voice trembling. Zoya sagged inside her. Disheartened. She hadn't expected Sophia to know from someone else. We've been terrible friends to her, Zoya murmured, contrite. You don't have to apologize to me, Sophia soothed. I haven't been completely honest either. But one day, all will be revealed. One day, we'll all know the truth about each other and everyone around us. Trust rooted deeper between them, fed by the sharing of truths and the promise of loyalty. They spent hours untangling the divorce details, Sophia's legal mind steering Mara through the labyrinth of werewolf law. I'll draft the divorce agreement for you, Sophia promised, voice steady. I'll add instructions and conditions for Lucian, so he can't harm you. So you're safe from him, and from anyone around him. I'll send the documents to him. Mara's heart ached with gratitude. Thank you, Sophia. I couldn't do this without you. I must have saved a country in a past life to have a friend like you. You don't need to thank me. This is the least I can do, Sophia said, patting her hand. Thank you, truly. Your help means a lot. Let's meet again soon and actually enjoy ourselves. Dinner's on me. I can't buy you anything expensive, but I can at least do that. I was so clueless about how to handle this, and you, Mara's eyes grew moist. You're my rescue, Mara. I won't accept your thanks, Sophia said, grinning. But I won't say no to free food, Mara laughed, and Sophia laughed with her light and bright. A sweet childish lilt undercutting the heaviness of the day. After Sophia left, Mara sat a while longer, lost in thought. The reality of her choice, the weight of Lucian's betrayal, the loss of what once felt perfect. It all loomed large, and yet beneath it, a steady flame of resolve burned on. She glanced at the clock. There was still time to visit her mother, a beacon of comfort and wisdom. You're doing the right thing, Zoya whispered through their mind link. I know, Mara answered, steeling herself. I must do this. For me, for my future. I'm glad we have Sophia, Zoya murmured, softer now. She's the best. If there's ever a day we lose her, it'll be because I couldn't handle it. She isn't wrong, Mara thought. Even she couldn't bear to lose Sophia, or their friendship. We won't lose her, Mara said, standing with a sigh. She's not selfish unlike Lucian. A few minutes after Sophia's departure, Mara left the restaurant too. As she walked into the neighborhood where she'd grown up, a warm nostalgia swept over her. The familiar streets, the familiar strangers, the old trees shading cracked sidewalks. It all made her smile. On the way, she stopped at a market, choosing vegetables for dinner with care. She added desserts and ice cream for afters, checking everything twice, because her mother wasn't well and needed the freshest. When she reached the family home, the door was shut. A frown creased the space between her brows. Her heart pounded like a drum as she turned the key. The silence inside struck her like a blow. Empty rooms. Still air. The kind of quiet that felt wrong. Mara, something is wrong, Zoya murmured in her head. I feel the same, she answered, swallowing hard. Let's check her, Zoya said. Mother? Her voice trembled. Bella, are you there? Only silence answered. And panic surged hot and fast. Her mother had undergone a heart transplant. She needed constant care. Mara had hired a live-in nurse, Bella, to be with her around the clock. Bella was kind, patient, the sort who never complained and kept Edwina company without making her feel trapped. Now the house was empty. No mother, no nurse. Mara set the bags on the kitchen slab and searched every room. No one. The fear inside her spiked sharp, breathless, blinding. Mara, calm yourself, Zoya urged through the mind link. We must not jump to conclusions. I know, Zoya. But something feels wrong. It's like that day all over again. A memory tore through her raw and bright. She was small again, coming home from school to an empty house. Hours of not knowing. Then a neighbor saying the words heart attack and rushing her to the hospital. Her mother's pale face. Her labored breathing. Tubes, wires, machines blinking and beeping around Edwina's frail body. Tears burning hot as she stood by the bed. Helpless, God forbid. Nothing shall happen to my mother, she begged, her throat tight. Moon goddess, save my mother, she whispered into the quiet. Her hands shook as she grabbed her phone and dialed Bella. 1 ring. 2, 3. Each tone dragged, slow as dread. Even Zoya, so brave earlier, went silent, the edge of panic bleeding into her voice. "Please, Bella, answer," Mara whispered, dialing again and again, tears rising. At last, the line clicked. "Mara, dear, we're at the hospital. Just a review. Nothing serious. I'm so sorry I didn't call to tell you. It's just a general checkup," Zoya said, trying to sound calm and failing a little. Mara's knees buckled. She slid down the wall and sobbed, relief crashing over her. Thank God she's fine. I got so scared. I'm coming," she said quickly. "Tell Mother I'm on my way." She grabbed her coat, locked up, and took a cab to the hospital. The antiseptic smell hit her as she hurried down the corridor, her heart thudding in her throat. She stepped into the ward. Edwina lay on the bed, illness shadowing her face. Yet when she saw her daughter, it lit with a smile. After all, what mother doesn't brighten at the sight of her child? "Mara, my love," Edwina whispered, offering a frail hand. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Mara took her hand, tears slipping free. "I was so scared, Mother. The house was empty, and I thought—" Her voice trailed into silence. Edwina understood. The smile in her eyes softened. "It's just a routine checkup. Don't think too much." "Mom, you need to take care of yourself," Mara said, trying to sound stern. "If not, I won't be nice to you." Edwina's mouth puckered in a playful pout, as if wronged by the scolding. Then she squeezed Mara's fingers. "I know, my dear, I know. But look at you. You've lost so much weight. It's you who needs taking care of." They laughed through their tears, the bond between them steady and sure. "Mother, what did the doctor say? Why are you here?" The worry crept back before she could stop it. Edwina's smile dimmed. "Just a bit tired, my love. They want to keep me for a week. Some of my numbers are a little strange, but nothing to worry about." "You're sure?" Mara pressed, feeling a prickle of doubt. Edwina looked thinner than before, cheeks hollowed, eyes too bright, older than her years. Edwina held her gaze, steady, warm. "Mom, are you sure you're all right?" Mara asked again, the words catching. Her mother was the only person who loved her without condition, the only one she could not afford to lose. "I am, my love. Go home, eat something, and sleep. You've got dark circles," Edwina said, still smiling, still mothering even now. "Bring me some clothes and my favorite book. We'll make a little holiday of it." Mara nodded, her heart aching but eased a little. She turned to Bella with gratitude. "Take good care of her, Bella. I'll be back soon." Back at the house, her hands trembled as she packed her mother's things. Relief, joy, sorrow, fear. They all tumbled together until she could barely breathe. She reached for a sweater, and something glinted at the bottom of the closet. A necklace, tucked away like a secret, a small treasure from a life that felt like someone else's. She lifted it, breath hitching as memory slammed into her. Her lost child, the rogue attack. Lucian's betrayal. Love turned to ash. Her heart twisted at the memory of Lucian's proposal bringing Camila, his fated mate, into their bed. The violation of their bond, the shame she'd felt for being weak. The emptiness that followed. Tears slid freely as she clutched the necklace. Everything she'd lost condensed into a single, cold weight in her palm. "You're not alone, Mara," Zoya whispered, gentle and steady. "We have each other. We'll face this together." Her chest ached at the thought of Lucian and Camila. He hadn't respected her, or what they were after that day at the bar. He hadn't said a word. Maybe to him, she was just a mistake that night. It had always been Camila, and Mara, a stand in all these years. Camila had returned to the pack because she felt safe. And like a lost puppy, he'd followed. Mara tightened her fist around the necklace. For some reason, it pulled at her familiar and precious. She traced its edges, letting the shape fill her senses. As if, somehow, it remembered her too. Her steps echoed over the marble floors of the grand building that housed the Lethe Pack's administrative offices. Once a symbol of unity and strength, the place now felt like it mocked her. The imposing walls, the ornate decorations, the regal architecture. all of it a reminder of a hierarchy that had been used against her, a system that had become her prison. A complicated heaviness settled in her chest as she looked up at it. Her heart pounded, but her face stayed composed, calm, determined. It was startling. Even to her, how different she felt from the woman she used to be. The emotional scars from Lucian's betrayal still ached, deep and raw. But she refused to let him see her falter. She had fought for her rights before. And she would do it again, even if it meant facing the man who once promised to love and cherish her. Lucian's presence in her life was a cruel joke now. He had chased her for marriage, asked, begged, pursued. And now he wanted her to accept a third person in their family. If there was a third, there would be a fourth. If she didn't stand up now, she never would. She would be nothing more than a working decoration for the pack. And for the Alpha while, the Luna title would be handed to Camila so she wouldn't bear a burden. How cruel of him. Mara let out a short, mocking laugh. At herself, at the absurdity of it all, she pushed the thought away and walked in. Lucian's office was spacious dark wood, weighty furniture, artifacts from the pack's long history, yet his fury didn't match the room's quiet elegance. The muslin curtains snapped in a stray draft, and the air buzzed with his anger. His eyes had gone dark, the wolf close to the surface, rage saturating the space until it felt like the room itself watched, braced, waited. His furious gaze met her calm, seemingly docile brown eyes, and something in him faltered for a heartbeat. He had never really looked at her in her work clothes. The skirt hugged her, outlining a perfect curve that drew his eye. His wolf, emerald, growled in his head. The blouse framed her chest, the V at her throat teasing. And in a flash the night at the bar crashed over him. Heat. Hands breathless want. His eyes darkened with lust. I want her. Emerald rumbled. Number not now. Lucian forced the wolf down, jaw tight. Even he could admit Mara looked tempting today. Maybe it was just the memory of that night confusing him. She isn't worthy of your attention. He clamped the thought in place and shoved himself back into anger. He hurled a document at her, eyes blazing like embers in a furnace. It missed her shoulder by an inch. She didn't flinch. She caught the packet with steady hands and glanced down. Sophia's law firm. Divorce papers, the symbol of their failure. Exactly what she'd expected. Her calm only deepened. And that more than anything unnerved him. Why did she change? The thought flickered through him before he could stop it. It's all thanks to you, Alpha. Mara might have said if she'd heard, bastard. Because of you, and your damn bitch. She's like this. Don't you feel any shame asking that? Sophia or Zoya would have spat the words at him, unfiltered, unafraid. What is this? Lucian snarled. His voice dripped venom. His stance dared her to speak. He waited for an explanation. Waited for it to end with an apology. Lucian, I apologize. It won't happen again. Mara lifted her gaze. The charming, caring man she had once known felt like a mirage. The pain of his betrayal was not. Every time he was intimate with Camila, her heart burned under his mark. Yet he never once apologized. I think you know what it is. It's exactly what you're looking at, she said evenly. No tremor, no plea. Just the truth. You think you can just leave me like this? He spat, fists clenching. After everything we've been through, after all the promises we made, her eyes narrowed. Just a fraction, as memories tried to flood her. I'm fighting for my rights, Lucian. You left me no choice. You're the one who brought a mistress into our marriage. Not me. You broke those promises, not me. You expect me to respect your decisions while you're wrong, while you hand me whatever scraps you feel like. I won't live with another woman in our bed. So I'm stepping away. It's simple. Her voice stayed calm, her expression unreadable. Does she really want to leave me? Does she not feel bad for leaving? The panic skittered across his face before he could swallow it down. You didn't feel bad when you brought another woman here, Mara said quietly. Don't act like a victim when you're clearly not, he jerked. Startled, she'd read him so cleanly. Your thoughts are written on your face. she added, almost bored. You calculating woman, he hissed, a vein pulsing at his temple. How dare you turn against me? How dare you play this game? I'm not playing games. Mara snapped, patience thinning. You turned it into a battle. I don't owe you answers. If you have anything to say, contact my lawyer. Her indifference fanned his rage. Don't forget, you're still the Luna of the Lethe path. Go outside and ask if anyone even knows that. She shot back, scorn curling her words. You failed me as an alpha, Lucian. You failed to be faithful. You failed us. You know what? You even failed as a husband the day you laid that bigamy contract in front of me. Color slammed into his face. He lunged. His hand closed around her neck. You've become too bold, too arrogant, he snarled, breath hot, eyes wild. I need to remind you of your place, you lowly Omega. Mara met his gaze steady. I know my place, she whispered. Quiet steel. And it's not by your side. How can a lowly Omega like me stay there? You deserve better. Have your better and leave me. His eyes darkened further, pupils flashing a bright, furious red. He slammed her against the wall and squeezed. Her breath thinned to nothing. Vision tunneled. The room tilted and narrowed and dimmed. Then, he let go. She slid to the floor, lungs dragging in ragged air, every bone aching. He glared down, chest heaving, contempt stamped over his face. I won't sign these papers. He spat. Leave, now. Mara pushed herself up slow, deliberate. She kept her eyes on his dignity intact. You'll sign them eventually, she said, voice calm, conviction steady. Because it's over, Lucian, we're over. She turned for the door. Leave. His voice sliced across the room, stopping her. Take this and leave now. That voice combined with his hands on her throat moments ago. Hit her like a blow. Pain shot behind her eyes. Her knees went weak, body turning limp. Lucian. So, you stooped to the point where you needed to abuse me, huh? Her words stumbled out on a broken breath. You will regret this one day. Darkness closed in. She crumpled, consciousness slipping away.